Milei is not only an economist, he is a moralist. He has a
Yeah.
whole moral theory which entangles with economic thinking. Closer to what Adam Smith said, because Adam Smith came up with his economic theory because Adam Smith was exploring the theory of moral sentiments.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the Party Pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 363. I'm talking to Agustin Almada. We're going to talk about Javier Milei. He's in Argentina, and I'm traveling right now, but we're recording this show on. We're 5 weeks away from the elections, which are on October 26th, and we've had some recent developments to discuss, and it looks like Milei is also going out and playing to his strengths again, which is getting the young voters out. So that's great to see. So how are you, Agustin?
I am fine. I say hello to the audience. As you said, I am an economist here in Argentina, and I am part also of the Argentinian Taxpayers Association. But anything I will say here, it's my own take on events.
Yeah, Agustin, do you know Milei, and if so, how long have you known Milei?
Okay. So I know Milei was a popular personality through the later part through Macri's government. So, we had here in Argentina the 2001 financial crash, then 12 strike years let me see. There was 2 years of a Peronist government, then 12 and a half years of a Kirchnerist government, which is like a Peronist socialism or something like that. They wanted to imitate Hugo Chavez, the Venezuelan president/dictator. And then Argentina finally decided to try another path. So they chose the centrist Macri. And at that time, Milei he's a hardcore libertarian, or at least classical liberal, but he's hardcore libertarian. And at that time, it was very popular among the leftist or the left-leaning media to bring people who were maybe against Macri, the centrist policies of Macri's, that in their view they were like right policies. And so Milei became very popular in TV shows. Sometimes they invite him because he's a very entertaining character, but he had very strong ideas. So the Macri government, finally, the problem with Macri was that he had some right-leaning ideas, especially in terms of economics, but he sustained fiscal deficits, which were unsustainable. So there was a financial crash, dollar spiked, inflation spiked, and he was voted out of office in 2019. And then the pandemic hit. So at that time, Milei found out that he was no longer friend with anyone, because the whole establishment, including the centrist media, was cheering for the Peronist or leftist government, who was handing out them money in big big time. So they were. We went through one of the harshest lockdowns in the whole world, and all the media was backing President Alberto Fernandez, the Peronist leftist socialist Alberto Fernandez. So there was a very deep recession, And basically, Milei found out that he was out of media focus. And in fact, they expelled, he was expelled from massive media. So he resorted to let's say, social media and more underground approach. And he started together with many of us, resisting the lockdown, which in Argentina was very harsh. You couldn't venture out of your house, and if they get you out of your house, you many people ended in jail. There was in fact people who were disappeared, tortured, because when you give police the ability to jail anyone who is in the street. So many people were tortured. It was a very dark period in Argentinian history. And Milei decided in 2021 that he would need to run for a chair in Congress as a representative, deputy, we call it here. And basically through social media, a very strong social media presence, and he was despised by all the political establishment and the media alike. And that was the first time I met Milei in person. We here in Argentina, the election system is prone to corruption, and you really need someone to so you vote casting a ballot, but if you want to vote for a candidate and there is not the official candidate ballot available at the booth at the vote booth, then you cannot vote for the person. So you need people who need to make sure that there are ballots available that are for this candidate, because you do not tick. You need to have that ballot. So I started working first in August. There were like 2 rounds. There are obligatory primaries, and then the second round. So I started being like this person who we call fiscal, who is charged with replenishing the ballots and counting the result. And then in the second round, I was like in the, let's say, headquarters of this operation. But well, I met Milei during his birthday when he ran for representative, and I met him that year, the second time in an event from the Argentinian Taxpayers Association. So maybe long, but that were the 2 times I met Milei personally.
Yes. And that's right. Milei's birthday is the 22nd of October, so that'll be coming up soon. He will be 55 this year. So yes. So anyway, Agustin, we've had some recent developments.
Yes.
Some of the provincial elections didn't go that well. I don't know if we were necessarily expecting them to go that well. I mean, we had Corrientes, the Buenos Aires province, and also what was the other? Corrientes and the Buenos Aires province.
Sí, Corrientes and Buenos Aires were the most recent, and Buenos Aires is especially important because Buenos Aires, there you have 38% of the population, so it is a province which is huge, and the Peronism it's their home ground. So it was a very uphill election / battle, and unfortunately the results were not the ones expected. If you want to know why, well, there are different explanations. So the first year and a half of Milei presidency have been very good in terms of the economic performance, even though there was a fiscal consolidation, a cut in in 2023 we had a 5% up to 15% deficit, inflation running closer to 300%. And then in his first year, Milei was able to cut deficit to zero, basically to go slightly on the black, on the green in terms of fiscal deficit, financial fiscal deficit. So no need to borrow any money, and also the economy, even though there was a very harsh fiscal consolidation, the economy only contracted by 1.6% compared to 1.8% the previous year, in which the government spending was going through the roof, and also inflation fell to 100% in December, down from 200% in December 2023. Okay, so you know the whole story. Everything was going fine. Now my ideas. Argentina lifted capital controls, and that meant a different arrangement in terms of monetary policy and exchange rate policy, which are important policies for small and medium countries. It's not that clear for you in the States. And that also went well. But the problem, I think, was political. So Milei started his government with less, not with a minority, but with less than 1/3 in each chamber, in the lower house and in the upper house, in the deputies or representative house and in the Senate. And he was able to pass some legislation by the slightest of margins through alliances or I don't know, because there was a very strong political support for him that was shown in the 2023 elections. But this year is an election year, and there were some allies, closer and not that closer, that were expecting to have like an arrangement with Milei. Let's say I am a Peronist. I am not hardcore leftist Peronist. I am just a political Peronist in the Andes provinces or in the northern provinces or in the southern provinces. Some people have voted Milei, and they voted me as well. And people in my province, I'm talking as if I were a governor. People don't see the difference between me and you, even though our histories are different. And they were expecting this arrangement, this political alliance, to be consolidated into a political proposal running in the same ballot, let's say. And in general, there are exceptions. Milei refused this, apparently because his sister, Karina Milei, was embarking. She was always responsible for political scheme, for the political arrangements, the political strategy. And she decided to go very hard on the offensive. So she was focusing on getting La Libertad Avanza, the purple party, all over the country. So that meant that all the political establishment, with very few exceptions, suddenly were not allies anymore with Milei. They were on the opposition. And that meant that Milei's government lost control of both chambers of Congress. So starting July, they started voting for proposals that were basically raising hands to increase pensions or to increase expenditure on national universities or increases expenditure in a different sort of items. And Milei tried to veto those proposals, and those proposals were crushed like in a 10-to-1 fashion. So all the people who were holding, investors who were holding government bonds or shares of Argentine companies started to fear that Milei had lost control in Congress. So Milei was hoping to turn things around with a resounding victory in the elections. But as you said, Corrientes was not a big performance because mayors and governors, there are plenty in Argentina. There are plenty of people who depend on government money. From governors, they work in the state. They receive pensions and things like that. And we can say that around 60% or even more, let's say 60% of the population in Argentina depend on a government check every month in the different levels to get things done at the end of the month to make ends meet. So this is used, and there are people who really sell their votes. And really, La Libertad Avanza has nothing to do and has nothing of that sort. You can expect that Milei is not going to be paying for votes. So the results in Corrientes were not good. And finally, the results against Kirchnerism in the Buenos Aires province, the leftist hardcore governor Kicillof, who is a Marxist. He's an economist who likes Marxism. He tries to mix Marxism and Keynesian economics. So he resorted to all the tricks to paying for votes, and La Libertad Avanza was crashed 47-34. And those problems, La Libertad Avanza was basically not able to hold the votes that made Milei become president in the second round.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
There is political conflict, and there's also a conflict with media and some centrist voters that helped Milei became president, because when we hold elections, there's a first round and there's a second round. In first round, October 2023, Milei ended up 30-37, so he came second. But then he got all the votes from the centrist Patricia Bullrich Macri and he beat Massa 56-44. Well, those votes from the second round didn't show up in these provincial elections in the Buenos Aires province. So panic ensued.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that works out well. So, of course, they overrode Milei vetoed some of these bills, and they overrode the veto. Correct?
Yes. If you want, I can expand on that. But basically, the idea for Milei was, I will veto everything they send. So look at the strategy. In Argentina, pensions have been nationalized, totally nationalized, in 2009 by the Peronist Cristina Kirchner government. So all pensioners depend on increases via decree to follow the inflation, let's say. So what Milei did in order to stabilize the fiscal balance, the fiscal front, was to froze pensions in terms of purchasing power. And they were frozen in a, let's say, low level. But the issue is that everyone wants to earn more. For example, universities are huge, and they are, I don't know, let's say 70% national universities. And there are a lot of professors, not too many graduates, but a lot of professors. So they send those projects like, let's increase pensions 30%. Okay, everybody raises the hand. And Milei has no control in Congress, so this went through. Let's increase salaries for university professors by 40%. Okay. And Milei said, I will veto this. Okay. That ensures that is good for investors holding bonds, as long as you are able to sustain that veto. But as there were political conflicts with almost all governors by July, they started overturning the vetoes. And that's when the massive sell-off of shares and bonds started. And believe me, it's difficult, because I myself was holding shares and bonds fell dramatically. I would say that shares have fallen by 50% from January this year to September this year. So a very dramatic sell-off. And I have to say, it's my impression that there was a political mistake, like to pick a fight with everybody. So governors in July, they made a meeting. There are 24 governors. There are 24 provinces in Argentina.
Yes, 24 provinces.
And they celebrated a meeting to start sharing revenue, which is called from ATN, which are special funds directed to address catastrophes or emergencies. And they decided to vote. We want to share this part of government revenue, federal government revenue, amongst the different governors. So Milei says, you do not need that money, because as revenue has increased, you are already receiving more money, and we know that you have money. And they said, no, we want this shared. And Milei said, I will veto that. And the problem is that when you say, I will veto this, and then you don't have the votes to sustain the veto, you're in a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So that impacted financially in the price of the US dollar also, and in terms of, I don't know, media, that percolates into people. And suppose you are a pensioner, and you need, and the opposition is saying, I want to raise pensions by 30%. And Milei says, I will veto that. And then, so when Milei vetoed that, these people said, but I need that rise. I want to have a better standard of living. So Milei become like an anti-hero for these people. So this impacted in the willingness to vote for Milei. So this is the explanation. The explanation is he lost control of Congress, and there was not a clever strategy in order to decide what to do. So in my opinion, it was political failure.
Well, La Libertad Avanza has never really had, a lot of seats in Congress to begin with. I mean,
No.
Look at these two laws. The pediatric emergency law, which was going to provide more funds for the hospitals, was passed with 181 votes for and 60 against, with one abstention. And the universal financing law was passed with 174 yes votes, 67 no, and 2 abstentions. I mean, you're not going to overcome that kind of
no.
You're almost looking at 3/4 of the chambers here. I mean, you're not going to override 3/4 of the chamber. They're pretty much.
And for the audience, let's remember the audience that you only need 2/3 from each chamber to initiate an impeachment. And the Peronist Party has been saying that an impeachment was going to be done to Milei from before the time he took office. Like in the campaign, they said, we will impeach Milei because Milei does not have the 2/3. That does not have even 1/3 to prevent an impeachment. So we will impeach Milei. They say that Milei is crazy, is nuts, or so the argument. It's very complicated when you lose control of Congress and the main opposition party saying we will impeach you. That's a very delicate issue.
Well, he's never really had control of Congress, but what do you think stops them from trying to impeach him? I mean, are they afraid that the kids might come out and go crazy, or what?
Kids might come out. I myself, of course, will come out. So, most of the time, Milei was having 50 or even higher than 50% approval. So it's a very high approval rating. It was not an impeachment in 2001. Non-Peronist, so he was a radical president. He was not impeached. He was forced to resign. But at the time, this guy was having like a 7% approval rating. So as of today, Milei apparently has a 42% approval rating. So these are big numbers. If they say I personally, Milei is the first president who truly represents all that I was hoping for. I am 43 years old now. So I won't let them impeach Milei and go at it again without a fight. And there are too many people who will do the same. So it's not that you have the number, so you impeach. And let's say that, like the hardcore Peronist, they have like 40% in each chamber. So they cannot go at it by themselves. So they need those middle ground parties that in order to proceed into an impeachment. So, but they are trying. They are trying. They have the idea. What is the idea? Try to harm fiscal balance credibility, and try to force Milei into increasing expenditure without financing. So they want Milei to print money in order to pay for this increasing expenditure. And as Milei is not willing to do this, he has to veto this. Then they humiliate the government. They overturning the veto, So people get frustrated, people get disappointed, and they have all the media because the governors here pay large sums of money. So all the media landscape it is especially as it happens all over the world, is especially relevant to middle-aged and older people. All the media landscape is receiving large amounts of money. In fact, they depend on government advertising in order to function. So you have all the political establishment voting for these things. You have the media saying that Milei is cruel, that Milei should raise pensions because pensioners need to earn more because they cannot wait. So let's say the pediatric emergency. There is not a problem in that hospital. It's like a flagpole. It's like a flagship. So, but there are or the universities. There are no problem in the universities. But the people who control the universities are aligned or are part of these political parties that want to affect fiscal balance. And they have the media, and of course, people get frightened that Milei will not be able to at least get that 1/3 in order to sustain the vetoes in the October elections. And if that's the case, if there is a bad election, then they will try to go for the impeachment. So it's all about politics right now. The US dollar, the price has increased. Fortunately, prices are not following suit. However, you have the media saying that the central bank will run out of dollars, and many economic agents are trying to buy US dollars. I think the central bank will be able to hold the exchange rate that was fixed. That there was a flotation system within bands, and there is an upper band that now has been hit, but it's relatively high, and currently we still have fiscal balance. Exports were running higher all through the year. So it's not like they are trying to defend an exchange rate that is ridiculously low. Excuse me. It's an upper band, an upper threshold exchange rate, and I think they will be able to defend it up until the elections. So, but I think Milei needs to reestablish, for example, contact with former President Mauricio Macri, that has a following. I don't know if it is 10%, 15% of the votes. 10% of the vote is huge. Let's say if you have 35% hardcore followers, and then you can ensure in this political system a 10% extra on top of that, you can easily win, because Argentina is not a political system like yours in the United States. It's closer to the European countries in which you have too many different parties, the two big ones, and then there are smaller ones. So with a 45%, you are making a resounding election, and you are good. So it will take politics trying to in the first place, trying to get the votes from Mauricio Macri. For example, I will name I will talk about my family. Me, my mother, and my father, we voted and my sister, we voted for Milei. But the extended family voted for Macri, and they were told that Milei is a crazy, Milei is nuts, but then they had to decide between Milei or the hardcore socialist, and they voted. My extended family voted for Milei, but they are not sure. And there was also a let's say a scandal. It's not a scandal. It's like a government official who was in charge of the National Agency for Disabled People, which was a massive corruption racket, because you have to know that all across the Argentinian state, there are massive corruption rackets. The government expenditure went up 20 percentage points between 2003 and 2023, and let's say 10 percentage points of GDP, it's all corruption. So, for example, the Disabled People Agency, in 2003, we had like 100,000 disabled people, and in 2023, so 20 years later, there were 1.2 million disabled people. And when you examine the matter, there are provinces and there are towns in which 100% of people, or in the case of provinces, 25% of the population is disabled. And in some towns, 100% of the population is disabled. So they are using these disabled people, disabled pensions, disabilities pensions, like a social program. But you have to consider this, talking about the Disabilities Agency. When you give a person a disability benefit, there are also some services. Let's say that you need to have some some health providers catering to you. If you are not disabled, if you are a 25-year-old guy who rides his motorbike, maybe you are, I don't know, competing, playing football, and you are receiving these disabilities benefit. Well, of course, you will not. You do not need medications or healthcare provisions. So all those healthcare contracts and pharma contracts, all corruption. So this guy, Spaniolo, he got into Milei's government. He worked as the lawyer. He was Milei's lawyer at some point. And he asked to be nominated for this office. But unfortunately, he decided to keep the corruption scheme running. And as Milei was closing in on him and realizing that he was not working as expected, he switched sides, and then the opposition knew that there was this corruption scandal, and then they sent the act, the project to increase these benefits and these pensions, and then they floated some recordings that were altered, but nonetheless they have a grain of truth about the corruption going on in this agency. So they used all of this coalesced in this perfect storm that hit 2 weeks before the Buenos Aires province elections. And they use it, and it worked fine, because you have the media, you had all the political establishment saying Milei does not want to raise disabilities funds, and then there are these recordings of a corrupt official that says that Milei's sister is getting 3% out of every of these corrupt contracts. There's nothing there. But if you have all the media and all the political establishment saying that there is a corruption scandal, some people will believe it. And the political isolation meant that there were no allies defending the government. And I think the government was caught off guard. This official, he was sacked, and now he's being investigated by the judiciary. And as of now, there's nothing to incriminate Milei's sister. But nonetheless, there is this this political climate, this media climate, in which there are a large percentage of communicators saying that, well, Milei's sister must give explanations, because even though this is being investigated, and there is a prosecutor, there is a judge who are investigating this issue, there's this this suspicion over Milei's sister. So I think that the fiscal plan is sound. The economy was expanding up until July, but then of course you have these uncertainties are hitting are hitting sales, are hitting the economy as a whole, and you have this climate that is not very convenient when you have elections in 1 month. That said, I have to point out that Buenos Aires province is a very special province in Argentina. Why? Because Buenos Aires province is the home of most of the protectionist policies dependent industry that we have in Argentina. In Argentina, you cannot buy, for example, a car produced in China or in the United States, or almost in nowhere else than Brazil or here. And there is a cartel of manufacturers that decide, well, you will produce pickup trucks in Argentina and trucks, and in Brazil we will produce cars, and no cars from anywhere else are allowed. So if you want to import a car from the United States, you will have to pay taxes, a 200% taxes. So no cars from the United States. And maybe that's not the best. For example, there are a textiles industry, which is mostly informal, with very low capital and very low salaries. But all those textile industries are located within the Buenos Aires province. And there are also a lot of people who work in social programs or social schemes, and people who work for mayors or for the provincial government in Buenos Aires. So I would say that 70% of the population in the Buenos Aires metro area, which belongs to the Buenos Aires province, are directly or indirectly related to protectionist industries, which are being threatened by the economic, so the opening up of imports and of competition, and also people who work in the state or receive money for political / social programs. So the turf was very hard, and in the October elections, people will vote in all across the rest of Argentina, which is doing relatively fine. So I expect a better result, but nonetheless, Milei needs to reestablish political alliances. In my extended family, there are people, for example, fortunately, my grandmother she's still alive, and she voted with which she was 89, and she voted in the elections. She voted Milei, but she doesn't want to vote Milei anymore because Milei, in her take, Milei mistreated Mauricio Macri, and she has loved Mauricio Macri, the former president, for years. So I don't know. There are no parallels in the United States, but I don't know. Let's say a former president that is important for, let's say, 10-15% of the vote, and you need that, and you cannot be in conflict with that person because it will hurt you.
So we talked about the vetoes and we talked about the elections in Corrientes. I don't think we need to cover Buenos Aires much more. We've pretty much covered that. But there were some other provincial elections this year. Corrientes is still largely controlled by the UCR, the Radical Civic Union.
Yes.
And
center left party.
Yeah, they won there now. Now, La Libertad Avanza, did get 30% in the chamber in the chamber elections in Buenos Aires. So that's not a disaster, but it's not, it's not great.
In fact, if you count votes as it happens in the United States and many countries, there is not a perfect representation, and sometimes people in smaller states or in more rural areas get more representation. So in terms of representation, La Libertad Avanza got very close to 40%. I think there are 2 chambers in Buenos Aires province. So the results were much better in more rural areas, or Buenos Aires interior, as we call it. So I think nothing is lost yet. Milei needs to, he's starting a campaign he went to Cordoba, which in 2023 presidential elections voted him like 25%, 70% to 30, or close to that. He will tour the country. He will go to each and every province in order to campaign, because these are very important elections. I think I need to plug my computer. We are fine. Okay. So
I have my computer up too. So yes.
See, yes, and a very important aspect you have to consider that there are political, you can call it political caste, political establishment in the different provinces.
Yes.
And and they will try to maintain their systems, and in many cases those political systems are oiled with people who work for government, people who receive benefits of different kinds. So governors, when they are competing in their own turf, they use all the machinery available and all the tricks. October elections will be national elections in many places. So governors and mayors will not be as interested in winning as for example, in provincial elections. And there will be also a different electoral system, closer to what you have in the United States or what you have in Europe, in which if you want to vote for, let's say, Milei or La Libertad Avanza, you will always have your ballot available. So you do not need to be friends of the governor in order to vote, to have the ballot to vote for Milei. So I think that will help, but Milei needs to reestablish relationships. And I keep on saying, and if Milei or someone in La Libertad Avanza is listening to me, I know that there is apparently a reapproachment, that they are getting closer with Macri, and Macri needs to participate in this campaign, as he did in 2023. He convinced that 10%, 15%, 20% of the vote that you need in order to get as many votes as Milei got in 2023. So I think it's a matter of making a good campaign, trying to focus on not fighting with anyone, not picking fights that really are not necessary. And of course, I am trying to be optimistic. I can say, well, so the economy is cooling, and Milei, and there are these recordings, and the political, so that it's not a trial. The investigation will go maybe for years, and nothing will be clear for the election, and the media is still against Milei. So I think Milei needs to cool down, try not to pick fights that are unnecessary, try to reestablish links with Macri or with Ramiro Marra, who ran with him in the 2021 and 2023 campaigns. And things can go reasonably well. And if La Libertad Avanza is able to secure 1/3 in each chamber, things will be easier. If not, well, we are for a rough time.
Yeah. Okay, so La Libertad Avanza got 30% in the Buenos Aires elections earlier this year, which was higher than
I think it was 34. 34.
Yeah. But higher
in a very difficult, in a very, yes. La Libertad Avanza came second after the governor and all his machinery. I was fiscal. I was one of these people enabling voters to vote for La Libertad Avanza. There were 3 other ballots that were placed together with La Libertad Avanzas and were the same color. And in some cases, they said that they were Milei ballots. So it was very hard. There are also what we call presidents of booth. We call it presidente de mesa table. You have the ballot box, and then you have a person who conducts the voting and then counts the ballots on site. So in this case, the Buenos Aires province government and the Buenos Aires province judiciary that controls the election, they didn't send the telegrams, the nominations for neutral people or people who are unaffiliated to officiate as president of the booth. So in the school where I was, presidents were named by the representative of the governor and of the mayor, and also there were placards. There were billboards with the name of the mayor, who was already mayor and who was running as I don't know, but here we have here we have local council. He was running as local council candidate, even though he was already mayor, and there were 3 billboards in the school. So this is to illustrate that they were also checking which person voted and which person didn't vote. If some Peronist working in the local government or in some provincial in the place where I made this, there's a large shipyard that does not produce any ship. It's taking 22 years to produce a single ship. Okay, but 5,000 people work there. Those people were asked to go and vote. And I can tell you that they were checking who voted and who didn't. And the day before, my mother told me that they were paying people that went to vote. So if you do not vote it for the mayor and for the governor, for the Peronist leftist, you could be sacked from your shop, or you may not get the money they promised to you.
Yeah.
So we have to consider that. Yes, La Libertad Avanza lost 34 to 47. However, there was a huge machinery that you cannot even imagine.
Yes.
This election took place.
Yeah, so La Libertad Avanza got, along with the Chaco Front, got 46% in Chaco. So that's
yes.
certainly was.
And in that case, the governor and Milei had an alliance. There are a few provinces in which the local government and La Libertad Avanza are going in a political front. Entre Ríos province, Chaco province, Mendoza province, and also I think San Juan province, they are close. So La Libertad Avanza is expected to win in different provinces. There is also Neuquén province, which is having an oil boom, a shale oil boom similar to what the United States experienced a few years ago, and they are feeling okay. So there are many places in which things are going fine. So we will see if that translates into a good election for La Libertad Avanza. I think over 35% of the vote and going into the 40%. If it is really there, La Libertad Avanza will be able to get that third that they need in order to secure the situation in Congress. So Milei just need to stop making mistakes, okay?
Yeah.
Try not to make mistakes.
We all try not to make mistakes, and there were some 21% hoo-hooey, which isn't good. I'm just looking at some of the provincial elections. 21% in Misiones now.
Yes.
Now, Salta was quite. The results in Salta were definitely a good 34% in Salta. Well, let's see overall.
That what you have to take into account that was prior to the current stocks and bonds sell-off, the dollar going up, and they were provincial elections which ran in different system, and where you have all this machine that I have mentioned in place. Not every place is like the city I mentioned, but there are places which are like this. 70% of people work for government or for companies that are state companies, and some others get paid for their votes. So maybe if the machine is not working as well, if there is a system in which there are no you do not need to have the ballot, or there are not fake ballots that you can mistake. For example, in the Buenos Aires province, 34% of the vote, La Libertad Avanza got. I keep on focusing on the Buenos Aires province because that was a real check, that was a real test, and it was a difficult test. It was 34% of the vote, but there were 2% of the vote, which went for ballots or parties that were fake parties. They were created by the governor in order for people to get mistaken. Very close names, using the same colors, using almost close symbology, and put. So maybe if there were not those ballots, you can say that Libertad Avanza will have gotten 36% in a province that it is maybe the most difficult one in the whole of Argentina. So I think, I still expect a reasonably good result if they are able to calm down the situation in terms of politics.
I think although calming down doesn't necessarily benefit, there were definitely some nice. I'm going to share some nice. There were some nice scenes coming out of Cordova recently, which certainly are reasons for optimism. We will share those. What happened in Cordova? Yeah, and Milei is very popular in Cordova, and that's a very good sign for us. So we'll.
And I will make like an introduction.
Yeah.
The old word. Santiago Caputo was in charge of that part of the campaign.
Yeah, well, he's also getting the kids out. That's the
original Javier Milei.
What did you say there?
The original Javier Milei.
Yeah, I think that's the. It's the 30-second clip here, but it's I do have to wonder to a certain extent is how the for example, how the recent shooting of Charlie Kirk might have impacted his campaign, because I mean he's definitely a little more guarded than he was 2 years ago. He's not. I mean.
Yes.
I mean,
there were sharpshooters. There were sharpshooters position, and you have to consider, unfortunately, that the Peronist government is planning to impeach Milei and then place the vice president, who had also. It's like the Pence versus Trump situation, but on steroids. Our vice president is making things that are really dirty, unfortunately.
Well, Vijarel, I don't understand what happened there. It's rather unfortunate to see it happen, though. It's definitely something.
The thing is, he heard that Milei got a terrible economic legacy or inheritance from the Massa government, and 80 or 90% of the political establishment was expecting to blow up. So everybody was starting to tell Villarroel, when we impeach Milei, after everything goes boom, hyperinflation, debt default, because what Milei has the economic inheritance for Milei, it's terrible, it's impossible. He will not be able, and you will succeed him. You
Yes.
will be the president.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe then they impeach her as well, but I don't know.
Here's another clip.
It's a problem.
Oh, Bullrich is there with him. Yes.
Bullrich is there. Yes.
She has just turned into a loyal follower. Yes, she has. I said so many nasty
Bullrich
things about
is
her
part
2
of the
years ago.
government.
Yeah.
Bullrich is part of the government because
yes.
Bullrich came up third on the 2023 elections.
Yes,
and on that night, he phoned Milei and said, I will back you because I don't want the socialist to keep impoverishing our country.
Yes,
so,
and she is standing behind Milei. It's amazing how loyal she's been. Yeah.
Very, very important. Very important.
Yeah. Here's the clip again.
And her vice president. She and her vice president went into the defense department and the internal security department or ministry, as we call it.
Yeah.
Yes. You play the clip and then we can talk.
Yeah. I'll play this clip. Like being back at a rock concert again. It's like
a very lively crowd, a very so Santiago Caputo is back in charge in terms of the political strategy. There were some ideas of because we have to say this is all a speculation, but I think these are the facts. There was a tension between Santiago Caputo, who is a trained political strategist, and Karina Milei, who is Milei's sister, and currently secretary of the presidency. So Karina Milei was the hardcore purple or violet. La Libertad Avanza, we will paint all the country with purple, which is La Libertad Avanza color, and we will go against every governor and we will win. And okay, that didn't work. That didn't work well. So Milei is back, and the campaign was being managed by Karina and some people who are close to her, which have a Peronist past, and there is this other wing of the government, more libertarian, more younger, hardcore libertarians, boys and girls more in their 20s and even teenagers, and they're closer to Santiago Caputo. Santiago Caputo is back in charge, and he's a very clever political strategist. He did work for Macri, and he knows full well that Macri got lost because Macri didn't go all the way into classical liberal or sound libertarian economic policies. So Santiago Caputo is a political strategist, but he's also a libertarian, hardcore libertarian ideologue. Yeah. And he's running the campaign right now.
Yes, of course. I want to share one other clip here too. It looks like he's meeting a little boy here. He's meeting this little boy with. This is a nice little clip. It just shows that we always hear these people don't care about the downtrodden, but yes, here.
Yes, sí. ¿Cómo andás?
Be nice to the kids because they'll be there after you're gone. Oh yes, it's a. Anyway.
Maybe you can play a clip of try to look for it. School boys and girls, like 10-year-olds.
I think I know. Well, here's the thing about
they
that.
Love Milei. They love Milei.
Yeah. Apparently, this kid has osteogenesis imperfecta, which basically means he has glass bones. I guess is what the tweet says. I'll have to look that up. But I guess it means his bones break very easily. I think I did see some of those clips. Yeah, we'll bring up another. I don't know if it's a clip, but it might have been a photo. But there's all kinds of reasons to be positive out there. We've got. Yes. Here we go. We've got this picture here too. Yes, we've got the. This is what, and this is just.
If Milei tours each and every province, each and every state, let's say, he has good chances.
Yeah, I am so glad to see. So glad to see this. It's
this is they are the more hardcore libertarian.
Yeah, we got the kids here. It's
yes.
The kids are really coming out to see Milei. Las fuerzas del cielo.
Yes, heaven.
The force of heaven. The forces of heaven.
Forces. The forces of heaven. Because Milei always says that he's talking about Maccabees. The Maccabees in the Old Testament. There is a verse that reads. In battle, it doesn't matter the amount of soldiers you have.
Yes.
But what really matters is heaven forces. The forces from heaven. So they're talking about values. They are talking about values.
Yeah.
So this is a characteristic. Milei is not only an economist. He is a moralist. He has a whole moral theory which entangles with economic thinking. Closer to what Adam Smith said, because Adam Smith came up with his economic theory because Adam Smith was exploring the theory of moral sentiments.
I wanted to say also that those kids looked almost exactly like the kids from Gryffindor and Harry Potter. It was the same color, if you remember the houses in the Harry Potter novels.
Yes.
I don't know if, of course, maybe the Harry Potter. Yeah, but anyway, Agustin, this has been a good show. I think we've covered just about everything. You have anything else to say before we go?
Yes, if you want to, I would like. I will send to you maybe a clip of
we can add something else. I should ask: Have you been watching Kaiser in Chile all that much or not?
Yes, we are watching him. He's a genius. He can explain the problems in Argentina better than we, because at least he has the benefit of not being immersed in it.
Yes.
We hope, but really, I will tell you, in the last few weeks, I have only thinking about our predicament, our situation. I will share with you, I don't know, can you play a Facebook?
Yes.
A Facebook clip? Okay, so those are some kids greeting Milei in Casa Rosada. Casa Rosada is very close to it's not it's closer to the street than, let's say, the White House. So people are really close.
Yes, I know the layout. Yes.
Maybe we can play that clip. Kids really love Milei, and teenagers also. If only less than 30 years old voted Milei would.
Oh, yes.
Yes, he would win in a landslide.
Yeah, I will bring up the Facebook clip. I'll bring up the Facebook clip. I'll see if I can get to it here. Yeah, so it's this is another. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of
There
stuff
are different clips of the sort.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, well,
This is spontaneous.
What are the kids saying? Are they saying Milei,
and this is not rehearsed. This is not a montage. These are kids who were touring. They were visiting Casa Rosada. There's a museum because down there's an old fort, which dates back to the foundation of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
And Milei was, and they started cheering Milei. Milei, they are saying.
Yeah. Kids can get really loud if they want to get loud.
Milei really, if it wasn't for the less than 30 years olds, Milei would not have been president.
Yeah.
So there is still hope. I think Milei just need to make an okay election and secure that third necessary to uphold vetoes. And then the economy was growing up at 5% annually. Exports are up. Inflation is down. Inflation has not even gone up, even though the US dollar has increased by, let's say, 30% in the last 3 months. Inflation is still running low and lower as the time goes by. So if Milei is able to do an okay election, secure that third, Argentina will be prosperous, as we say here.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope it'll make it. I think he's changing a lot of people's minds. These reactions. I mean, I hope this all goes. It's really looking so optimistic. I mean, well, Agustin, it's been great having you here. Where can we find you out there?
You can find me. You can follow me in X or former Twitter at A Almada, A from Agustin, Almada from my surname, which is EALMADA, 1982, because I was born in 1982. I was made that year.
Yeah, well, please, thanks for coming on. Please, like the show, subscribe to the channel. Check out my Substack. Go buy my novel, Escape from the Village. And people are giving me money at Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you, Agustin Almada. I'm Chris Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.